Alright, we're into the first game between Mr. Pro and Wilson in this tournament here in the quarterfinals, the restart. Got Wilson in the red playing as the Soviets, and Mr. Pro in the blue playing as the Wehrmacht. We're on the map Munition Train. It's a modded map. I guess there are the munitions and there's the train. Makes sense.
MG42 team is ready for action.
See both players going for pretty standard builds so far. Mr. Pro getting up a barracks, going for the MG right away, and then a grenadier. And Wilson getting that extra combat engineer before going for conscripts. He's also building support weapon right away with his first engineer. So let's see if he gets something out of there right away, or if he's just doing that preemptively. Looks like both players making a move toward the middle VP right away. Catch the action there for his shots.
Contact with the enemy.
Mr. Pro goes good distance with those MP40s. Wilson trying to back away with the Gantz. Wilson hops into the building. So Mr. Pro might just be content to cap. 7MG headed up to the north here. Maybe looking to occupy that building after capping the VP. Looks like a pretty strong building. Actually, how do you even... So you have to come in this way. That's a pretty good building to lock this area down.
Heavy machine gun team prepared for
Mr.
combat.
Pro used the weapon to cap the mid VP. As the first conscript arrives. We do see Wilson using that weapon support center right away. Get out an MG. As that Pioneer squad gets really low, he's going to want to retreat that soon unless he's going to try to cap this cutoff, but he thinks better of it. There was a Soviet squad here as well. I'd imagine he was trying to just soft retreat to cap this, which is a good idea. But now he's still cut off from his fuel here once he caps it, so he's going to have to come back down and cap this.
We have taken it.
See another conscript in the build and an early mortar from Mr. Pro. Interesting considering he hasn't even seen the MG from Wilson. So must really value that mortar. I mean, there's a lot of heavy cover on this map, so you might see squads clumped up, but I heard them talking and I think neither of them had played this map prior, so I don't know if this is something he had decided ahead of time or if he just noticed the map seemed to have a lot of cover and made the decision on the fly. Now we can see that really advantageous position with this MG. I think if he actually faces out these front windows, the arc would still be enough here maybe. I guess they could probably still get around it. So with some good micro you can get around this MG no matter which way it's facing, I guess. So it's not like you can't be countered. You can see some dominant map control coming out for Wilson already, but the mortar is going to land right in between the two squads. And another grenadier coming out for Mr. Pro now. And yet another conscript coming out for Wilson. One thing I would advise for anyone who's new to the game, trying to work on builds, probably want to wait a little bit for that mortar. Just getting more infantry squads on the field just so you can cap some area. So you don't have yourself in this kind of situation here where you have no territory connected in the early game. Go for that mortar later, probably after your third grenadier or so. You're not trying to rush out a light vehicle. See just the number of squads Wilson has on the field already in comparison. You can see Mr. Pro floating a lot of manpower here, so that's part of that. You really want to try not to float any manpower if you can help it in the early game.
The enemy is fighting back.
See a good retreat from the conscript there. And this lower health combat engineer just capping the flanks while all the fighting's going on over here. So something else to think about with this MG here. I mean, this MG is locking down this VP, but it's probably a little more useful in the actual fight at this point. you have no territory connected, you really want to be using this MG a little bit more actively. That's more of a probably a good late game position when you're just trying to lock down a VP when you have a bunch of other stuff on the field to fight. We'll see how Mr. Pro handles this here, not having any territory connected. You can see Wilson actually built a sandbag on Mr. Pro's cutoff here, which is going to be pretty tough for Pro to deal with. Luckily, he does have that mortar, so if he uses that, he's actually got a Grenadier squad coming around the flank, but unfortunately for him, Maxim is set up perfectly right there. We'll see if that mortar, and Wilson hears it coming, he pulls back. It's a good play there, and yeah, Mr. Pro is going to struggle here just to even get out of his base. Again, Wilson's had enough of that MG already. He's going to flush it out of the building, which actually might even be better for Mr. Pro, so you can get that in the fight. Like I said, it's not really doing anything up here anyway. We can see only 4 income per minute for Mr. Pro with nothing connected versus 20 for Wilson.
Comrades, we have now installed a field hospital at
So
headquarters.
he's upgraded medics at home. Still has yet to get any base buildings here. So we'll see if he decides to go for T-70 or something, or if at this point he's just going to try to rush out a T-34. He's got great map control. He could certainly do that with pretty much no counter at this point. Actually smokes this, but doesn't push anything. I think he thought it connected. I think he smoked it so his pioneers could run through here, but there's no way through. So the timing on that is a little messed up. But Mr. Pro does, he's finally going to connect some territory here, so that's good. And he's got the southern VP. He's actually got the VP advantage on Wilson now, surprisingly, but he's going to soon not really be able to deal with anything here. And the woes of Wilson versus this. There we go, now he gets the smoke in. And once that smoke's there, he's going to be able to get this flamethrower squad nice and close. Might even attack ground through the smoke into the building. There is vaulting. He can vault the wall if he clicks it, which looks like he is going to do. Let's see if he attack grounds this house here. Oh, no, he just goes. Oh, yeah, I don't know if you know the position.
We are losing soldat.
That there. Mr. Pro suppress or pin there. Yeah, so he probably should have attacked ground to do that. Smoke might actually lose the squad. Yes, he does. So as much as I was criticizing this MG position, got a squad wipe and it did hold this VP for a while, but now it's time to get out of there. And we can see Wilson kicking Pro out of the south here. Potentially rough retreat for this Grenadier squad if Wilson pays attention to it. Looks like he's now turning around, so this might be a squad wipe here. See him getting ready to body block maybe. Oh, doesn't get it with the first squad. Get some body blocking with the second squad, and that's going to be the Grenadier.
We are suffering losses.
So 2 Panzer Grenadiers coming out from Mr. Pro, and this is 700 manpower float is not good when
Territory is out of
control.
contact.
You got to get something out on the field so you can get some presence on the map. See, Wilson
We have been assigned fresh
has
Panzer
his
Grenadiers.
tier 3. I imagine he's just gonna skip T-70. I don't know why he's going for an AT gun. Just, you should know Mr. Pro hasn't had fuel at all, but I mean, better safe than sorry. I mean, you usually do want to have an AT gun out at around this time, around 9 minutes. 10 minutes is a good time to have an AT gun out, but with the map controllers out, he certainly doesn't need it. Probably doesn't know what else to spend his manpower on, I guess.
AT gun is ready for combat.
definitely want to see some more infantry squads here from Mr. Pro. Just to, again, cap some of the map, connect his fuel, do something with the territory he has up here. But Wilson's not going to be too far away at this rate from getting a T-34
Fresh
out.
Guards troops are standing by.
He's going to be able to build his tier 4 soon. I imagine he's probably not even going
Enemy
to bring
forces
his
are attempting
engineer
to
squad on the
capture our
field till it
territory.
builds the tier 4 since he's so close to it, and then it's probably only another 3 or 4 minutes until he gets a T-34. And Mr. Pro is not going to have anything to counter that. He's got just his tier 1 still. I'm not sure if he's... Can I see if he's upgraded to battle phase yet? He has a... Oh wait, because he has the Panzer Grenadiers, so I'm not sure how much fuel it is for tier 2. I'm not sure if I can see that somewhere. Oh, he doesn't even have Pioneers, so... He's certainly got the manpower to get the Pioneers. Some good suppression in with the MG. Let's see if the mortar can clear out this Maxim. He's got to get that MG42 out of there. Suppression by getting the building here, but unfortunately for him, wherever the German mortar's already targeting. Probably want to see a barrage used here, just to really get this out. Unless you want to use smoke, but I think just fine here to flush it out. He finally does have his fuel connected here, so that's good. He's had that VP too, so the drain hasn't been too bad. Just got to worry about the impending T-34 and his lack of units here. And you don't really want to float 1,000 manpower ever, unless you're pop capped. You really want to always be good mortar. You would always be spending something unless you're saving up for something specific. That's kind of the general rule of RTS's. Considering the position he's found himself in, Mr. Pro's holding on pretty well. He's got to get that squad out of there. Not in time.
Our brave infantry is dying.
Nothing else to do with the Zis gun, so using the barrage ability on it, good ability. 35 munitions, but as you can see, you can afford to spend some munitions here. Do a barrage a minute and still be saving. You can see Wilson has gotten his tier 4, and he really shouldn't even wait for a T-34-85. He should just go for this T-34-76, and there's nothing on the field that can counter it. Although he might be getting worried now that some kind of vehicle might be coming out, but he's got to know that it's not going to be a tank. At best, it could be a 222. So T-34-76 would be fine, but
Supply
I
sector
also
under
happen
attack.
to know he loves his T-34-85s. Now, Pro moving out to this side of the map. Notably, this fuel is a bit further from him, and we see a mine coming down from Wilson here, so using those munitions. Must have planted a few recently. He was just at 130 munitions, and
Anti-tank mine set to go.
We are
another
losing
56.
territory.
Oh, okay, double mines over here. He really does not want. I wonder if he has a few of them queued up elsewhere. See if he gets spotted here. I think he'll just finish it in time. There you can see the position there, and if you ever see this when you come upon a Pioneer or Engineer squad, it's a good indicator that they just planted a mine. When they're grouped in that kind of like a semicircle around nothing, they probably just planted a mine, and mine goes off, gets 2 models there. Luckily for Mr. Pro, there's no way to retreat here. If there was, this retreat path would probably carry him straight through that mine. As it stands, it would go up here. Interesting map design. So you can see this kind of funnels you in to this fuel here. Up here, the place that funnels you in at a weird angle is actually the VP. So I think I would have to say the VP advantage actually goes to the player in the east the way this map is designed, because he can more easily access this, and this one is just straight up closer to him. But then the fuel,
Enemy squad attacking!
the fuel might be an advantage to the west player. So
Good work,
some
comrades.
map design to work on there, I'd say. But overall, for a community map, Steam Workshop map, this is pretty good. Pretty nice detail. Well thought out objectives and cutoffs. I mean, cutoffs are harsh, but they're right near your base, so they're difficult to be capped. At the same time, they're pretty close to the middle, but that's kind of how it goes with more of the 2v2 maps. Everything tends to be toward the center more. You need more room for your base, and you really don't want to have to run all the way across the map to cap something. This is also a 1v1 map. It's like the last, but it is pretty big for a 1v1 map. Consider this more of a 2v2 map. You'll see here, Maxim should win this engagement. Cover. Well, this, even though it says it's in light cover, the directional cover is not working. It's actually not
We have been
cover.
assigned fresh Panzer Grenadiers.
That's it. We should see some kind of tank from Wilson here shortly. He can afford the 85 now if he wants. It's also floating a lot.
Squad at full strength.
Area secured.
And Pro is still trying to give himself some fuel presence. I don't know if he misclicked. I'm guessing he meant to have one of these squads cap here. Yeah, there he goes now. Send it down there to connect that fuel. Underneath
The
these
enemy is
guards.
taking our territory.
I don't know how. I think the Panzer Grenadiers should win this now that they're in close, especially with the PTRSs here. Tries to get the grenade, does some health damage, but I don't think it's going to be enough here.
Marking and targeting of vehicles is now
Will
available.
still win this. There we go. It's a good engagement there from Mr. Pro. And these are the Panzer Grenadiers that hit the mine earlier, I believe. That second mine's still there.
We have a new T-34
If these mines were
standing
placed here
by.
and here, I think it might have gotten a full squad wipe before. I think maybe he didn't realize this didn't connect. He made that mistake earlier up here. It's not very
Enemy
intuitive.
forces are capturing our
interesting.
supplies.
Map design. Not necessarily bad, but it's very different from what you normally see, which isn't necessarily... Okay, actually, this is bad. That's not clear. I don't like that. You just get stuck in this pocket. It's just so... So you can see he's got the 7-man conscript upgrade now. So did a lot of bleed as the Panzer Grenadiers closed the distance here. Although those STGs might still win the fight, which is pretty impressive. They got 2 models dropped closing the distance and they're still able to win that. So Panzer Grenadiers are strong when you get them in close, even if they take that damage.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
Wilson going for the cutoff again here. And you can see he's got the T-34-85. And there is a way to follow this. I don't know. Oh, follow him. Oh no, it follows the players. Just have to get this. I'm not cool enough. If I've ever actually observed a match before. Now, Mr. Pro has no answer to this. I mean, he's got plenty of Panzer Grenadiers. I'm interested to see if he separates a bunch of length tracks. Really not be the best idea, I think.
The enemy has 300 points
Doing a
remaining.
good job against the infantry right now. That was very unfortunate. It was a 4-man squad. They were just clumped around this area right here. Now Wilson's going to destroy so it can't be used again. Missed. Mortar hits the front armor. 45. Phase inspection here. I think he was. I don't. That looked like he was building a bunker, but I didn't know why. So. Finally building tier 2, so never a good sign when you're building tier 2 at the 21-minute mark. Now you can't even get an AT gun until that's done. He does have Panzerschrecks pop on one of his Panzer Grenadiers. Doesn't even have the munitions to get on any others, and he's gonna have to. Well, this is realistically probably dead if Wilson ever realizes that's there. This is a tough situation. Sometimes you notice this guy's up here and you see this being capped and you want to retreat him back, but that's just a death sentence. Honestly, might want to try to hide him behind the building or something so you get some presence. Oh, yeah.
T-34 ready for combat.
It's been nice knowing you guys. This is not going to end well.
We are guards
Well.
infantry. They are dead infantry.
You tried. Also, I never realized how sensitive.
MG squad
this
awaiting
was.
orders. Enemy forces
Lost
are
it.
neutralizing
I
a
just watched
sector.
that. I was just gonna I was gonna say you lost to Panzer Grenadier Squad. I literally just watched it. So yeah, now he has an AT gun out. So yeah, anyone who's trying to learn build orders and stuff, you really want to try to have your AT gun out probably by the 10-minute mark at the latest, as soon as you even map control. It's when you can start to expect vehicles. Lots of times players will have a light vehicle out before then. Some players prefer to have an AT gun out. This is not good. Oh, that was a good grenade. I don't know if he did that for these guys pushing in or if he anticipated that retreat, but it's pretty cool. Well, this is not good. And lucky. 5 sometimes doesn't have the best spread against infantry. This is wow. Okay, just trick shot there. I forgot what I said. And so this is a GG at this point. He really loves those Panzer Grenadiers. I mean, I'm not gonna say they're not good, but I think they're not gonna be up to this task. This is when you want to start thinking about, oh, you can see where the player card. Oh, wow. Follow selected apostrophe. Look at this. Switch HUD. Control left arrow. Sorry. I have to really work on this if I'm going to be a procaster here. I thought my UI wasn't working great because I didn't see units over here. It's actually just the German military not working great because they have units. So, yeah, it's definitely we want to press this surrender button here. Oh, and there we go. Well, that was GG. Mr. Pro held on for a while there, but just didn't really have anything prepared to deal with these tanks. You gotta know that's coming. Got to know that's coming when you don't have map control. But from what I understand, Wilson has a lot more experience in more competitive 1v1s. I think Mr. Pro is mostly playing AI comp stops, so you don't really learn those things doing this, but if that's the case, I really don't think that was a terrible performance from Mr. Pro if he's only really done AI comp stomps before. He had decent micro in the early game. He clearly knew when to close the distance with those pioneers and when to kind of pull back there. So definitely have seen worse, but also a lot to learn. We'll just see. Who is this? Oh, look at that. So Diogenes is also in the tournament, playing with someone from his Postscriptum unit against some AI here. We'll just wait a bit here for the next match to come up. Check Discord here. I do hope the next tournament might be Co3 tournament. I think Co3 has done a lot of good things. Definitely needs some polish, needs some balance. Definitely balance has to be expected with a new RTS game. Never going to get that perfect without massive amounts of players trying all different kinds of strats against each other. And they have had some patches already to address balance and address some of the polish it needed. So I have a lot of fun with it. I'm definitely satisfied with it as the predecessor to CO2. Unlike Age of Empires 4, I was really hoping that was going to be better and be a good predecessor to Age of Empires 2, but unfortunately that does not seem to be the case, even after waiting, I think it was 6 months for the first major thing addressing any of the issues, and still really just wasn't enough. But it might have a journey like Code 2 did, where it might take a few years, but eventually it's going to turn into a really solid product. Code 2 was very, very rough around the edges when it was first launched, and now it's a fantastic game with great balance. A lot of people enjoy. So hopefully the same happens with Age of Empires 4. But right now, I think Code 3 is in a really good spot. And I'd like to see more tournaments with Code 3. It's just going to keep growing as a game, and it seems like the devs are making changes in the right direction with all the patches so far, so very excited. Oh, I was looking for a refresh button earlier. I hope that actually works. It is pretty cool, by the way, that in Code 2 you can just observe any games. You can, of course, lock the ability for observers to join your match if you wanted, but by default it is open, which is nice because you could just hop into any game. You can browse through, there might be pros playing, probably more likely in 1v1 auto match, unless they're trading for something, I would imagine. could just watch some pros play, learn the game a bit. Let's see if we find any here. Was that Clint Toastwood? It's an interesting name. Sure, a lot of the pros are playing Code 3 as well, but I know quite a few people, quite a few of the pros too, are still doing Code 2. Although a lot of them are European, it is late in the EU. Of course, Tightrope from New Zealand. Might even be early for him now. I don't know. Time zones. Lots of comp stomp games here. I think that's how most people enter the scene. This is, oh, okay, I thought it was all humans against 2 humans and 2 AI. That would have been interesting. But most people find their entrance to the game from comp stomp. I did find that when I was trying to get into 1v1 multiplayer, the hard thing for me at the time was hotkeys. And it was just, you know, when you're playing 1v1 against another human, you just can't take the time to look down and look at the keys and make sure you're pressing the right hotkeys. And oh, uh-oh, I think I just double clicked the game by accident. Ripperoonie. But anyway, we'll get out of this game as soon as we get in. But yeah, you start, you know, you need to learn the hotkeys. So I would practice against AI, learning the hotkeys, and I told myself I'm not going to do any more 1v1 auto matches until I can beat the expert AI, and make sure I use hotkeys and everything. And it's kind of how I got better at the game. It's not the best way to do things necessarily, because once you get to expert AI, they rush out tanks way quicker than you'll ever see a human be able to do it, because they get resource advantages and stuff. So it's not great for practicing builds necessarily, because you might have to go for some kind of AT sooner than you would normally. But it was really good for practicing hotkeys and some micro and stuff till I got to playing against other players. Seems like they're taking a while here to set up the next game. Maybe a bathroom break, snack break, smoke break. All 3. Maybe you needed a break from the break, if the break went too long. Maybe a break from that break. Now this is a best of 3, not a play all 3, so if Wilson wins this one, then Mr. Pro is out. Let me bring up the bracket here. We can talk about the bracket for a second. So you got Wilson versus Mr. Pro here. It's an 8-person bracket, best of 3 for each round. So winner here goes to the semis. We were watching Pyro, well, not on this video, but I was watching this game earlier. I believe Pyro was winning for a good chunk, and then Unheroic Winnie? Oh, I don't know. I'm just gonna call him Unheroic. Came back and won, so interested to see who wins the second game there. And if that goes to a decider, and the winner of this would be playing the winner of this. We have Diogenes and Jaeger tomorrow, I believe. Let me double check that. Yeah, tomorrow. No time yet. And then myself and Asiru. Asiru? I don't know. Asiru. I'm going to stick with that. That sounded good. We're playing on Monday, possibly tomorrow. I'm going to barbecue tomorrow, so I'm not sure if I'll be on my computer, but if I am, I might get this game done tomorrow. And then I believe the semis and the finals are happening next weekend. Scheduling permitting, maybe some of the semis will be played during the week or something. And I do believe Mr. Pro is going to do his best to try to cast those. I don't think that's the same Weiss we know from Postscriptum, because I think he would show up in Friends games here. And still waiting on the game to start. At this point I might cut this out, and all this talking was for nothing. Let's open up Mr. Pro's stream. I don't know why it keeps opening this version. I don't want this, I want that. Let's just see where they're at in the lobby. They're getting close. Oh god, I think they just started. Look at that timing. Just needed a little bit of patience. Yeah, I'm not convinced this refresh button works, to be honest. Let's try it this way. Lies. What if they closed Observer? How rude would that be? Huh. I'll come back here, see if that refreshes it. Let's shut it down real quick, start it back up. I don't observe often enough to know if it normally takes a while or what. But it probably doesn't hurt to restart anyway. Just in case. And normally don't get bug splats, but can't hurt to be too cautious. I have a feeling these are not all my friends. There we go. Arnhem Checkpoint. Great map. They have switched factions. In this tournament, you don't have to switch factions. You don't even have to play Axis versus Allies. Though personally, I really hope that everyone does Axis versus Allies. The game was balanced with that in mind, and in my opinion, the balance is really well done now that we're 12 years into the game's history. They did get it right eventually. Alright, and we're in, so let's see what we have here. In the blue in the north, we have Wilson as the Wehrmacht. Red in the south, we have Mr. Pro as the US. So far, nothing out of the ordinary. A rifle squad for Mr. Pro in the build, and MG for Wilson. We've got tier 1 out for Wilson, as is most standard for Wehrmacht. And a Grenadier in the build there.
MG42 team is ready for action.
So you can see Mr. Pro did
Steady up, fellas.
set this squad up
I got
on the
orders
edge of the
coming.
cap, which you generally want to do for quicker caps. But you have to pay attention to it to make sure you're moving them as soon as it's capped, otherwise it is some wasted time. Sometimes shift queuing just be better if you're going to be busy doing other things at your base. But in the grand scheme of things, that's definitely not a huge thing, just something to consider. Now you can see, probably just click this on the map.
ready for action.
Might have even shift queued. Up in the north, it looks like Wilson wants to get this MG in the center. I think most players on the north side would go for this building, but I feel like Wilson will want to get this church personally.
Ground's ours. Now spread out.
And I was wrong. So he goes for the safer building. I think that's a good choice. Probably catch this rifle squad once they're done capping that. So, gonna lock down the middle of the map for a little bit at least, until Mr. Pro can get some good flanks going out. So getting immediate suppression on the rifles. M42 suppresses quicker than any MG in the game. It's high rate of fire. We've got Grenadiers here. Yeah,
Rifle squad.
now I wouldn't be surprised if this pushes up, possibly to this church. Might cap the VP first. And, oh, going for the cutoff. Going right for the cutoff here, I think. Random checkpoint does have notoriously difficult cutoffs, because they're very easy for your opponent to harass. Right here, hold the attack map in the center pushing with the semi-autos and just backing up as he should, but he's going to get pushed out of here. Probably going to have to retreat the squad. Don't want to retreat that VP and take too many casualties, but still some Grenadiers. Okay, so
We have a fresh Grenadier squad.
So, good push there for Mr. Pro. Unfortunately, he did get cut off here, so looks like he might be
Infantry
trying to
squads have
return
been
the favor.
issued stun grenades.
Going for a 4th rifle here, so this is something I've never been a fan of, but a
Our
good number of the
opponents are
pros
seizing a
do
sector.
it, so can definitely not say it's a bad idea. I just find going for a 4th rifle and then you're going to get an officer, whether that's lieutenant or captain, sometimes even both. It just becomes a lot of infantry squads to micro. I've always been a fan of going an officer and getting a support weapon and a light vehicle. But if you can micro it, it's certainly very powerful if you can also manage the
The
manpower
enemy is
bleed.
attempting to steal
This
our
rifle should
sector.
be fine. Cars blocking some shots
Production
there.
upgrade accomplished.
The rifle gets back safely. The rear echelon's gonna be fine. Nolan some decent map control in the beginning from Mr. Pro. Again, sucks that he's got this cutoff disconnected, but he looks like he's going to cap that now.
Enemy forces are securing our territory.
Oh, nope. Looks like he's going to... Luckily that MG packed up. Let's see. Let's see. That was an attack move from Wilson. It's set up immediately after C. Let's see.
The enemy is taking our
Almost got out of
territory.
the arc in time. Oh, he retreats that actually. That rifles probably would have gotten out of the arc, but could have stayed in there a little bit longer. This rifle's gotta get out of here.
Taking lead over here!
Retreat.
We're losing a capture point.
So, definitely a better job from Mr. Pro in this game so far. Definitely want one of these squads capping here. But
Frag
he's got
grenades
some
now
decent
available
map
for action.
presence. Certainly better than he had the early game. And
The enemy
the
is
last
overrunning
match.
one of our capture points.
I didn't even look at the doctrines each side went for last game. But see heavy cav for Mr. Pro. Not sure what he values most here. I think rifleman field defenses are great.
Captain
if you're
just
using
took
it to
the
plant
battlefield.
mines specifically. One major weakness in the US is they don't get any mines except for weird light mines the rear echelons get, but they're not nearly as effective as regular mines.
Stand ready!
Get out of there. Early grenade tech. You would see that a lot from US. Oh, yeah, these guys are dead. Oh, these aren't upgraded yet. Okay, I forgot you have to upgrade them with MP40. Oh, he still gets it. He's going to get 2. That's not good. Well, it's going to be very difficult to come back from now for Mr. Pro. It's a good play by Wilson there, getting these stormtroopers around the flank there, and a late retreat by Mr. Pro to try pushing up first. You can see just the bodies, the trail of bodies. So that's a real difficult blow in the early game to come back from. Alright, he's got the captain out now. So I wonder if he'll go for the AA half track. I think that's a really good thing for US to go for. I'm more partial to going for the Stuart, but I definitely think the AA half track is good, particularly if you're going to want an AT gun later in the game on your way to a Sherman. So I would be excited to see that, although with not controlling his fuel for so long, it's probably not on the cards. He's probably just going to have to stall for an AT gun and try to deal with any
The
light
bunker
vehicles.
is now a field hospital. New units
with
are ready to
8
deploy.
grenades and the AT gun here. Should win this fight pretty easily. It's the retreat. So he's capping the fuel, still doesn't have the cutoff though, so let's take a look at the TAC map here. So I guess it doesn't even show it super well, but if you pay attention to these lines here, you can see this point here would cut off this fuel and everything down here for the blue player, but specifically if we look at Mr. Pro here, the red, he's capping this fuel, but you can see the part that's flashing that he's capping is not connected to the rest of his territory because of this cutoff here. So he's not actually getting any resources when he caps this until it's connected to territory that touches his HQ. And same for all this right now because of this cutoff, or sorry, this cutoff. This is when you don't see capped maybe as often, just because it's harder to connect fuel on the side for the south player. But we can see Wilson's actually got both cutoffs right now. So very little income for Mr. Pro right now. You can see 11 munitions, 7 fuel compared to 57 and 28 for Wilson. So it's definitely important that you cap these cutoffs. None of this territory over here even matters right now if it's not connected. Except the victory point, obviously. That's always good. Ambush now. Let's see if he ambushes with some grenades. Oh, but with the MP40s, that's still just completely devastating. So, yeah.
We are losing
This is
a
going to be
sector.
very difficult to come back from. He does have Rangers. Upgrading those with the Thompsons right now. They should perform pretty similarly to Stormtroopers. I don't actually know who will win in a straight-up fight. But it should be close. Very high DPS, close range with both those units. I think the issue right now, though, is just Wilson just has more on the field, and he's moving both these together right now, which is terrifying. You've got to retreat immediately if you're in this room. They're just gonna die. Stay too long. Hey! Okay. Oh, the body blocking. Oh boy, yeah.
Reclaim a kill!
That's not good. Yeah, at this point, I'm going to say it is almost impossible for Mr. Pro to come back. But all great comebacks start from a poor position. So we shouldn't give up hope just yet. We might have a great comeback in our future. If everyone gave up when they were behind, we wouldn't have great comebacks. And he's sending all of his infantry, just about, to deal with these stormtroopers. And I think there'll be enough, mostly because of the Thompson. Yeah, you can see Wilson respecting the Thompsons there, sees it, immediately retreats. He doesn't want to get wiped on retreat. He knows what that's like. You can see it. Thompson's getting great damage.
The enemy is
Very
taking
low.
our
Unfortunately,
territory.
not dropping any models there. But yeah, Wilson has healing in his base. Yeah, we don't even have an ambulance out from Pro yet. He is building a pack howitzer. But the problem is there's a Panzer IV coming out. So I talked last game about 9 to 10 minutes you want an AT gun. That is even more true when your opponent has a great map.
75mm howitzer standing for capture point.
That's
and
pretty
being
rough.
overrun.
Yeah, this is definitely GG here.
Our supply line just got cut off.
But he doesn't have anything he can do with this Panzer IV. He could save up for another Rangers. Nope. Okay, now he's got an AT gun. All right. So he's respecting the timings a bit here. A little late, especially considering Wilson's control, but it should hit the field by the time the Panzer IV gets into the fight. So could definitely be worse. The biggest issue he's going to have right now is keeping that AT gun alive with the infantry presence Wilson has, especially with those two stormtroopers on the field. You're going to have to be very careful with how you use that AT gun, and
Anti-tank gun.
unfortunately
ready for
the
action.
reality of the situation is it's probably just going to get fucked up. I'm really starting to wonder if Mr. Pro knows about the cutoffs, because he keeps capping things without getting the cutoff. So I'm not sure if these guys have to retreat. Oh god.
Capture point is being overrun.
So he did use an 18 grenade
some of our
on the
riflemen.
Panzer IV. So if any of you guys are new to the game, you want to wait until you have some penetration on the vehicle before you use that 18 grenade. As long as there was a penetrating shot on the tank previously, then the 18 grenade will destroy or certain damage the engine, and then it can't chase you. But if it's full health, it's not going to do anything. The exception is light vehicles, so your T-70s, Stewarts, Panzer IIs, 222s, Pumas, anything like that, an AT grenade or Panzerfaust or anything will damage the engine, even if it was full health. But medium tanks and
Our
above
foes have
need to have a
300 points
penetrating shot in
remaining.
there,
Increase your efforts.
or something like two. It has to have a certain amount of health damage, but a penetrating shot does enough damage for that. So the pack howitzer is a great tool. I actually really like them. I don't get them very often because I typically end up going. I typically end up going for Lieutenant with the Stewart. That being said, though, whenever I go Captain, it's very difficult to not get a pack howitzer. They're so good. Biggest disadvantage is they can't retreat, so you just got to make sure you're keeping it safe. But it has pretty decent distance. Very effective. That's if it wasn't over before. Ooh, if Wilson was just a little quicker on that chase, that would have been a triple squad wipe there. But he was a little slow chasing there. Yeah, that is rough.
Combat unit ready for action.
Cap out a VP though, so he knows he's gotta not keep the triple cap against him if he wants to stay in the game, but there's just not really much he can do right now. Get the MG out of the church. He's got Rangers coming up here, so so you can see this ability here. I wanted to talk about this before when I was talking about this in Panzer IV. Rangers and paratroopers actually are better at using bazookas. I think they have better accuracy and either increased penetration or increased damage. Accuracy makes sense, right? They're better trained. I don't know how their bazookas are better than the rest of the Army's bazookas and that they can damage more or penetrate more, but that's the way it works. But obviously you can't click a button to upgrade them with the bazookas. You can only click the button for the Thompsons. You have to pick up the bazookas from the ammo rack that you have to upgrade. But it can definitely be useful in situations where you need a little more AT. Rangers and airborne with bazookas are very formidable.
Points.
I also never realized the weird patch they have. What is up with that? They stop moving. So they've got the 2 on the back of their helmet, but what is on their shoulder? No, stop! Looks like the SAS logo. That's interesting.
We lost a gun crew.
Another AT gun coming out.
Weapon rack is now accessible.
Oh, and he did upgrade the weapon rack. Let's see, is he gonna get them on the ranges? Does he? He has munitions for 1 bazooka, just 50 munitions.
AT gun
bazooka.
ready.
Don't forget, once the shooting starts, it's gonna get hard to hit.
Some people get bazookas on their rifles. Almost no pros will do it, but some people do it. And I never liked it, but someone did bring up an interesting point that you can snare and... Oh, okay, he started. You can snare and get bazookas on the same squad. That is interesting. I mean, I still wouldn't do it just because I want to use my rifles against infantry, but it's an interesting idea. But yeah, with that, Wilson moves on to the semifinals. Mr. Pro is out of the tournament. He cannot win his own prize. So he will probably be casting matches from here on out. Definitely a good try. Much better in that second game, but just wasn't quick enough to get away from those stormtroopers. Wilson even building bunkers at this point. That's funny. Probably didn't know what else to do with his manpower. He's got mines everywhere, S mines, Teller mines. So yeah, obviously really good play from Wilson. And unfortunately, Mr. Pro was not up to the task. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the casting. Never tried casting KO2 before and never really tried observer mode, but it was fun. Let me know what you guys thought. Thanks for watching.